Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. Why do some men act like they're lost in thought, like they're not even paying attention, yet somehow they're always 2 steps ahead? That's the quiet genius of Sigma males. They don't move loud. They don't try to steal the spotlight. But don't mistake their calm or silence for a lack of awareness. What may look like cluelessness on the outside is often the exact opposite. It's not that they don't know what's going on, it's that they know too much, and they've learned that showing all your cards too early gives people an advantage. Sigma males are sharp observers. While others are busy talking or competing for attention, they're absorbing everything. They notice shifts in tone. They pick up on what's not being said. They watch how people treat others when no one's looking. And because they don't try to prove themselves, people often assume they're not a threat. That's where they make their quiet moves. If you've ever felt misunderstood because you're not loud or showy, if people have ever dismissed you for being quiet or different, let this be your reminder. That is not your weakness. That is your edge. You don't need to prove your value by speaking over people. Keep observing. Keep learning. Let them think you don't know what's going on. When the time comes, you won't need to talk about what you can do. You'll just do it. And that's when they'll realize they never saw you coming. Keep playing the long game. Let's dive in deeper, brothers. Number 1. They're quiet because they already know the ending. Have you ever watched someone stay calm in a situation where everyone else is scrambling, arguing, or panicking? That's the Sigma male. While the noise gets louder and people rush to speak or act, he stays silent. Not because he's unsure, not because he's slow, but because he's already seen how it ends. Sigma males tend to process things deeply and quickly. When most people are reacting to what's right in front of them, Sigmas are thinking 5 steps ahead. Imagine being in a meeting where people are tossing out ideas, competing to sound smart. The Sigma male is sitting back, maybe with a neutral expression, maybe not saying much at all. But in his mind, he's already played out every option being thrown around. He doesn't need to jump in for the sake of looking involved. He's waiting for the moment when it actually matters. Think about a game of chess. The person who makes the fastest moves is not always the one who wins. It's the one who understands the full board, the consequences of each decision, and the traps hiding in plain sight. That's how Sigma males move in real life. With patience, with strategy, with full awareness of how one small decision today can shape what happens months from now. This mindset shows up everywhere. In relationships, in career decisions, even in everyday conversations. When someone tries to provoke them, they don't react immediately. When an opportunity comes up, they don't jump just because it looks good on the surface. They wait, they study, they make the move that counts. If you've ever been someone who thinks more than you speak, who doesn't always feel the need to rush into things, maybe that's not hesitation. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe you're one of the rare few who already sees the ending before others even realize the story has started. Number 2. They'd rather be underestimated and underestimated again. Then make one move that rewrites the whole story. That right there is the quiet strength of the Sigma male. He's not interested in proving anything early. He's not in a rush to be seen or praised. In fact, he often lets people misjudge him on purpose. Why? Because the less they expect from him, the more room he has to surprise them on his own terms. It's like watching a quiet player at a card table. Everyone thinks he's out of the game, probably doesn't know what he's doing. People chuckle, give advice he didn't ask for, and assume he's a step behind. Then, when it really counts, he lays down a hand no one saw coming and flips the entire game. That's the Sigma style. In the real world, this shows up in all kinds of ways. Maybe it's the guy at work who doesn't speak much in meetings. People think he's just floating along, not contributing. But when the project hits a wall and no one knows what to do, he's the one who calmly presents a solution that fixes everything. That one moment changes how everyone sees him, but he doesn't even blink. He knew what he had the whole time. Or maybe it's in a relationship where he's been doubted or overlooked. People think he's too calm or distant. Then out of nowhere, he makes a decision that changes everything. Not out of emotion, not for attention, but because the moment was right and the move was overdue. Sigma males don't speak just to be heard. They don't act just to be noticed. They sit in the silence, letting others write them off again and again. Then they act once, and that one action says more than 1,000 explanations ever could. That is the storm they were quietly preparing for. And when it lands, it cannot be ignored. Number 3. They're not slow, they're calculating. You've probably seen it before. Someone asks a Sigma male a direct question, and instead of answering right away, he pauses. Just a few seconds of silence, long enough to make others wonder if he's unsure or just spacing out. But here's the truth, that silence isn't confusion, it's control. Sigma males don't blurt things out. They're not trying to fill every gap with sound. That pause is where the real thinking happens. It's not about hesitation, it's editing. They're removing all the fluff, all the unnecessary emotion, and anything that doesn't move the conversation forward. What you end up hearing is the clean, stripped-down truth. No performance, just clarity. Imagine someone asking them, "What do you think about this plan?" Most people rush to answer, eager to sound smart or contribute. A Sigma male will take a beat. He'll replay the situation in his head, filter out the noise, and when he finally speaks, it's straight to the point. One sentence that hits harder than a 5-minute explanation. It shows up in everyday life too. At work, during heated moments, while others get loud or defensive, the Sigma male waits. He's not slow to respond because he doesn't care. He's choosing his response like a surgeon chooses a tool, carefully, deliberately. Even in conversations with friends or partners, they might seem emotionally distant just because they do not react right away. But inside, they're scanning every word, every tone, making sure their response is useful, not reactive. This ability to think in silence is what sets them apart. They don't talk just to be included. They speak when they have something that matters to say. And often, that silence before the answer says more than the answer itself. It is not slowness. It is precision. It is the mark of someone who has trained their mind to move quietly but effectively. Number 4. They understand that confusion is a form of control. Most people want to be understood. They want others to know who they are, how they think, and what they'll do next. It makes them feel safe, predictable. But Sigma males play a different game. They're not interested in being predictable. They understand something most people miss. When others can't quite figure you out, they can't use you. Sigmas move in ways that don't fit the usual pattern. One day, they're fully present. The next, they're off the grid. Sometimes they speak with sharp clarity. Other times, they leave people guessing. This isn't by accident. It's not inconsistency. It's intention. They've learned that when people can't label you, they also can't control you. Think about how we deal with familiar personalities. You know the loud guy always trying to prove a point. You know the people pleaser who says yes to everything. Once you figure them out, you know exactly how to push, pull, and predict their moves. But with a Sigma, that door stays closed. They give just enough to stay involved, but never enough to be fully read. It's like watching a chess game where one player keeps switching the rules just slightly. Not enough to be chaotic. Just enough to keep you unsure. You spend more time second-guessing than playing. That's the advantage a Sigma holds. Even in everyday life, they keep people off balance. A manager doesn't know if they're aiming for a promotion or planning to leave. A friend isn't sure if they're deeply invested or simply observing. That uncertainty becomes a kind of armor. Because when people don't know what to expect from you, they stop planning around you. And that gives you space to move freely. Sigma males understand this deeply. They don't crave chaos. They just understand how to turn uncertainty into quiet power. Number 5. They use confusion as a smokescreen. This is one of the coldest moves in the Sigma male playbook, and most people never even notice it. When a Sigma acts confused or distant, it's not because he doesn't get what's going on. It's often because he wants you to think that. He knows that when people believe someone is lost or unsure, they start relaxing around them. They stop watching closely. They assume there's no threat. That's when people get lazy. That's when they stop guarding their strategies, their motives, even their opinions. And that's exactly the moment the Sigma is paying attention. It's the same move you see in nature. Think of certain animals that play dead to avoid being attacked, only to strike when the predator gets too close. Sigma males apply that logic in real life. In conversations, in meetings, in situations where power is shifting, they sometimes act like they're still figuring things out. But they've already seen the map. They've already connected the dots. Imagine being in a group discussion where everyone is tossing around ideas. The Sigma says something vague or even a bit off track. People assume he's not really following. So they talk freely, they share too much. And by the time they realize the Sigma was 10 steps ahead, it's too late. He already got what he needed. In everyday life, this might look like forgetting a detail on purpose, asking a question he already knows the answer to, or playing the role of the outsider just long enough to blend in. It's not about deception for the sake of ego. It's about creating space where others drop their guard and show their true hand. That confusion is not weakness, it's cover. And once the Sigma moves, people finally realize they were never the one observing him. He was watching them the whole time. Number 6. They refuse to play by social timing. Most people follow an invisible script in social situations. When someone asks a question, you're expected to respond quickly. When there's silence, you're supposed to fill it. When emotions are high, you're meant to react fast. Agree, disagree, defend, or explain. Sigma males don't follow that script. In fact, they ignore it on purpose. Sigmas understand the power of not reacting on cue. When people expect a quick response and don't get one, it makes them uncomfortable. That slight pause, that quiet moment throws the rhythm off. Suddenly, the person talking starts to second-guess themselves. They repeat what they just said. They try to fill the gap. That silence? It's not awkward for the Sigma. It's strategy. Picture a heated conversation. Emotions are flying, voices getting louder. Most people jump in trying to make their point fast before someone else takes over. The Sigma just sits there, watching, listening. Not because he's unsure of what to say, but because he's letting others reveal more than they planned to. He knows that the more someone talks, the more they expose. Even in everyday moments, casual chats, team meetings, group decisions, Sigma males don't rush to speak. They let others fill the air while they quietly observe. People may assume they're detached or disinterested. In reality, they're just not in a hurry to be understood. They're focused on what's actually happening beneath the surface. This refusal to play by social timing puts people on edge, even if they don't realize why. It breaks the expected rhythm. It creates just enough discomfort to reveal what's usually hidden. While most are busy dancing to the beat of social cues, the Sigma male steps out of sync. And in that space, where others lose balance, he finds his advantage. Number 7. They understand how power travels in shadows. Sigma males don't chase the spotlight. They don't need to be at the center of attention to have influence. In fact, they prefer not to be, because they know something most people don't. Real power doesn't always come from being seen. It comes from being underestimated. While others fight for positions, recognition, titles, and praise, the Sigma quietly studies the structure behind it all. He's not interested in winning the surface-level game. He's looking at the systems, the patterns, the way people move when no one is watching. That's where the real power sits, underneath the noise. Acting clueless or even distant gives him a pass. People stop watching him so closely. They assume he's not a player. They think he's too quiet, too passive, maybe even out of touch. That's exactly what he wants. Because while they're busy competing in public, he's moving pieces in private, guiding things slowly, quietly, without resistance. It's like a shadow in a room full of flashing lights. Everyone is focused on what's loud and bright. No one notices the shift happening in the corner. But by the time they do, the Sigma has already changed the direction of the conversation, the group, or even the outcome. You'll see it at work. While others pitch their ideas loudly, trying to impress, the Sigma influences the one decision-maker behind closed doors. You'll see it in relationships too. He doesn't demand loyalty or attention, but somehow people are drawn to his presence and opinions. He doesn't seek to dominate, he seeks to position. And once positioned, he doesn't need to push. Everything else adjusts to him. The Sigma understands that power isn't about volume or visibility. It's about leverage. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to disappear. And that kind of power travels quietly. It lives in the shadows, right where he prefers to be. Number 8. They let others burn out while they conserve energy. In any room, there's always a rush to be noticed. People talk over each other, compete to sound smart, try to win every conversation, and push themselves forward hoping to be seen as the one in charge. But the Sigma male? He's not playing that game, he's watching it. He understands something that others often miss. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every spotlight is worth standing under. While everyone else burns fuel trying to lead the moment, the Sigma is holding back, waiting, listening, and reserving his energy for when it actually matters. It's a lot like watching runners in a race. Most sprint from the start trying to lead the pack. But the experienced ones? They stay at a steady pace, let the others tire themselves out, then pass them effortlessly when the time is right. That's how the Sigma moves in life. In meetings, while others fight to have the last word, the Sigma stays calm. He knows that being loud doesn't equal being right. He's not looking for attention, he's looking for the gap, the problem no one solved, the moment everyone missed. And when he speaks, it's not to add noise, it's to bring clarity. That's when people actually start listening. In social settings, too, you'll see it. While others perform, charm, and compete to lead the room, the Sigma is relaxed. He's not trying to control the room, he's reading it. And when the tension hits or confusion rises, he steps in with the calm answer no one else could reach. This is not laziness, it's strategic patience. He doesn't waste energy proving his worth every 5 minutes. He shows up when it counts, and by then, the room is already tired. He isn't. And in that moment, the Sigma becomes undeniable. Not because he fought harder, but because he waited smarter. Number 9. They study people, not just outcomes. Most people are obsessed with results. Who won? Who lost? Who got the job? Who didn't? They move quickly, always chasing the next achievement, the next answer, the next reward. Sigma males take a different route. They're not just looking at what happened. They're watching how it happened, and more importantly, who made it happen. They pay attention to people in ways that go unnoticed. While others are busy focusing on the final score, Sigmas are watching the subtle stuff, the way someone's tone changes under pressure, the way a person glances when they're lying, the way someone interrupts when they feel threatened. These are details most people miss because they're too focused on what's loud and obvious. Take a simple work situation. A project gets delayed. Everyone's focused on the delay. They want solutions, answers, quick fixes. The Sigma, meanwhile, is watching who shifts blame, who stays calm, who gets defensive, who takes quiet responsibility. To him, that is more valuable than fixing the deadline, because that tells him everything about who he's dealing with. Even in conversation, Sigmas don't just hear words, they read intention. They notice when someone laughs just a second too late or agrees too quickly. They pick up on discomfort, hidden motives, subtle manipulations. And because they often act a little distant or uninterested, people let their guard down around them. That's when the Sigma collects the real data. This kind of observation isn't about judgment. It's about understanding. They want to know what drives people, what scares them, what excites them. Because once you understand someone's pattern, you know how they'll behave long before they do. And that's where the Sigma's quiet power comes from. He may not look like he's paying attention, but behind that calm expression, he's tracking everything. He's not reacting to the outcome. He's preparing for what's coming next, because he already understands the people who will shape it. Number 10, they've mastered the art of delayed power. In a world where everyone's trying to win right now, prove a point, grab attention, outshine the next person, Sigma males move with an entirely different mindset. They're not chasing small victories, they're playing the long game. And that means they're perfectly fine letting others take the spotlight, trip over themselves, and burn out. Because the Sigma knows something others don't. Timing is everything. He doesn't need to dominate every conversation or rush to be the smartest person in the room. He's not interested in constant validation. What he's looking for is the right moment, the one move that matters, the one opportunity where his input changes the direction of the entire game. Imagine being in a brainstorming session. Everyone's throwing out ideas, interrupting, trying to look impressive. The Sigma listens, observes, says nothing. People may think he has nothing to offer. But when the dust settles and the noise dies down, he calmly speaks. One clear idea that cuts through all the fluff. That's power. Not because it was loud, but because it was necessary. You'll see this in social settings too. Others may jump to prove themselves, to impress, to show status. The Sigma steps back, watches the dynamics unfold, and waits. And when people begin to slip, when egos clash, when cracks appear, he moves. Not out of emotion, but out of precision. This ability to delay power isn't weakness, it's discipline. It takes self-control to hold your cards while everyone else plays theirs too soon. Sigmas let others shine early, even let others think they've won. But they always know where the story is going. And when they move, it's never for applause. It's to change the outcome entirely. That's the quiet strength of the Sigma male. Not in forcing things, but in knowing exactly when not to. Number 11. They don't react because they already predicted it. When something unexpected happens, most people flinch. They get defensive. They respond with emotion. But Sigma males? They just sit there, calm, quiet, almost unfazed. From the outside, it might look like they're confused or unsure. But in reality, they saw it coming long before it happened. They just don't think it's worth reacting to. That's one of the strangest things about them. They can be in the middle of chaos. Someone may raise their voice or throw out a challenge, and the Sigma will barely blink. It's not because they don't care, it's because they already walked through this scenario in their mind days ago. They knew this person would overreact. They knew this plan would fall apart. They saw the pattern before anyone else even noticed it was forming. So when things start unfolding, they don't waste energy on shock or drama. Why panic about something you already expected? Picture being in a group chat where someone suddenly starts picking a fight. Most people will jump in to argue or defend themselves. The Sigma? He reads the message, closes the app, and goes back to his day. That drama was already predictable. It's not worth engaging. His silence isn't weakness, it's clarity. This kind of mental foresight comes from being a deep observer. Sigma males pay attention to how people behave over time. They don't just listen to what's said, they study tone, timing, body language, patterns. So when someone eventually slips, the Sigma isn't surprised. He's already processed it. That's why they often seem emotionally detached. They're not cold, they're simply not wasting energy on people or situations that are moving exactly how they expected. And because they don't flinch, they throw people off. They take the power out of the moment by refusing to react. That silence, that calm, that's not confusion, that's control. In conclusion, have you ever watched someone sit quietly in the background, almost invisible, only to suddenly shift the entire situation with one move? That's a Sigma male at work. While others chase attention, try to impress, or scramble for control, Sigmas sit still. But still doesn't mean asleep. It means aware. It means waiting for the right moment. Their calm nature is not confusion, it's clarity. Acting clueless is not weakness, it's strategy. They've learned how to stay unreadable in a world obsessed with loud personalities and instant reactions. And that unreadability, it's power. Sigma males have mastered what most people never even notice. They don't need to talk over anyone. They don't need to prove they're smart. They let people show their cards first. They learn from silence. They strike with purpose, not impulse. That's not luck, it's discipline. That's not shyness, it's self-control. If you're someone who has ever felt like people underestimate you because you don't show off, keep going. If you've ever been called distant just because you observe before acting, don't change. And if you've ever felt out of place in a world that rewards noise over nuance, you're not broken. You're built differently. Sigma males remind us that you don't need to shine all the time to have power. Sometimes your greatest strength is knowing when to hold back and when to step in. So stay calm, stay sharp, and trust that while others are watching each other, you're quietly watching the whole game. And in the end, it's not the loudest one who wins. It's the one who sees what others miss. Thank you, watching brothers.